Ferocity, rising through shadows, unleashed, you conquered the darkest storms you faced. You stood in the abyss, and you did not flinch or falter. You looked into the void and you turned it into fuel for your ascent. You embraced the unbearable pain, the relentless doubt, the suffocating noise, and you rose above it all. You wielded your suffering like a torch in uncharted night. You were forged by every tear you refused to shed, and every whisper that said you would fail. You won so hard that they trembled when they witnessed the spark you ignited. You surged forward, propelled by your scars, your silent rage, your unwavering will. You rose through sheer relentlessness, through a vow that your light would not be dimmed by their disbelief or by their petty attempts to cage you. Your triumph is a monument built only with the raw bricks of your perseverance. You won so hard, they could not handle the outcome, and their wails echo in the emptiness that your victory created. This is your reckoning, your testament, your unapologetic roar into a world that underestimated you. You stand now, unmasked and unbreakable. The victor. They did not expect the force. They cannot deny. Let that truth unleash you. Let it echo through every trembling breath you take. You are living proof that triumph can be born from ashes, from broken nights, from the weight of every no that tried to bury you. You became unstoppable. You became their nightmare because you refused to accept anything less than your own dominion over destiny. In this moment, before you stand at the summit of your own becoming, before the world sees what you sacrificed, what you endured, what you overcame, I ask you to pause just for a heartbeat. If you feel the weight of this voice, if your heart burned just now, if your spirit thirsts to remain awake, hungry, to never allow comfort to dull your edge, then I need you to make a promise to yourself. This is the life you carved from bone and grit, and you deserve more than mere silence from those who witnessed it. So here, with all the fire in me, with every shard of passion that stirs inside me, I beg you to subscribe, like and comment if this voice moved your soul. If you feel this truth pulsing through your veins, if you want to stand with me in communion of relentless ambition, subscribe so you never miss these truths that ignite the silence, like so the world can bear witness that you refuse to let your potential die in darkness. Comment so the world can see your presence, your hunger, your refusal to recede. Like so your echo becomes a thunder that wakes others to their own latent power. Every time you subscribe or like or comment, you are forging a connection to that tribe of relentless hearts. You are saying for your life, for your nobility, for your supremacy in overcoming obstacles that dared to stand in your way. You remember every night that tried to crush you, every voice that said you were not enough, every hand that tried to push you down, every system that told you to quiet down. You remember, but you did not stay down. You took the rubble of your failures and built a throne. You sharpened your mind, your resolve, your vision until nothing could penetrate. Your forward march was not quiet. It was seismic. It echoed through every heart that underestimated you. It shattered complacency. It made them uncomfortable because it revealed their weakness, while you stood unconquerable. You are not defined by their fear-drenched tears. You are defined by your indelible will, by the heat of your spirit, by the refusal to obey limits they set when they lacked the courage to chase their own destiny. You won so hard that they cannot even pretend to celebrate with you. They stand in stunned disbelief, their voices shaking in the ruins of their expectations. Let their crying become the soundtrack to your victory. Let it remind you daily that your rise was uncompromising, that your victory was theirs to witness even if they are too small to celebrate it. There is a darkness that comes before triumph, that pit of doubt that threatens to swallow you. But that darkness is a crucible. It burns away your hesitation, your fear, your excuses. It leaves you in raw clarity. If you can scorch yourself by that fire and still walk forward, then nothing in any world can hold you back. You traversed that fire already. You earned your scars. They are your war medals. They are proof that you walked through hell and kept breathing, that you carried every broken piece of yourself forward and you stitched them into the most formidable weapon you could ever possess. Your triumph is built from every moment you were told you could not. Your victory is a map for anyone who steps into their own storm and fears they will drown in the current. You won so hard that they cannot handle the outcome because you walked the path they feared. You carried a raging storm inside you and made it dance in the open air, and they saw a hurricane of someone alive, someone relentless, someone unbound, someone who would not stop until the world cracked open to let their purpose through. Let your triumph be a message to your past self and to anyone watching from the sidelines. Let it say that pain can be alchemy, that doubt can ignite metamorphosis, that failure can be a prelude to dominance. That night can be your shape, but not your prison. That silence can be the prelude to your roar. You won so hard you broke their world by refusing to break yourself. You rose by refusing to kneel. You conquered by refusing to stop moving. Let that be the story you tell yourself in the quiet hours when tomorrow feels uncertain. Let your memory of this moment fuel every waking second of the future you design. In the echo of your conquest, there is a message for the world, and for every future you will shape. That message is clear. You can be beaten. You can be mocked. You can be underestimated. You can be surrounded by people who expected nothing of you. But if you refuse to surrender to that expectation, if you refuse to shrink to accommodate their doubts, if you refuse to let their timidity define your horizons, then you win at an intensity that shatters illusions and rewrites the possible. You won so hard that they could not handle what you became. That is not arrogance. That is the settled truth that your ambition outpaced their imagination, that your strength exceeded their willingness to look. You rose too swiftly, too fiercely. You claimed ground they could not follow. And in that claim, you revealed that greatness is not a gift, but a relentless conquest. You became great because you refused to pause, because you refused to entertain hesitation, because you refused to whisper when your destiny demanded you roar. Carry that roar forever. Let it live in your posture, in the fire of your gaze, in the punctual precision of your actions. Let it be a silent signature in every email, every decision, every step. Let it be the internal anthem that reminds you this victory was paid for with every shred of fear. You refused to obey every moment. You refused to look away every second you chose. Persistence. Let it be your shadow, your constant companion, your declaration to the universe that winning this hard was not a fluke, but your rightful destiny. And when they cry still, when they cannot forgive your victory, when they recoil from your light, let those tears be the final proof that you made them face their own absence of courage, that you forced the world to recognize ambition that refuses to settle, that knows no polite boundaries, that demands more from fate and from itself. Let them cry because you rose from invisibility to indelible presence. Let them cry because your triumph did not require the permission. It disrupted the norms. It defied the whispers. It broke the ceiling that whispered, you should stay in your place. You refused, and you rose, and you won so hard that there's only one response left for them to make, and that is tears, diluted by awe, diluted by the silent admission that someone did what they feared they could not. This is your story. This is your voice. This is the echo that still haunts the room, long after the noise dies, because you won so hard that they cannot handle the outcome. You became an inevitability. They cannot unsee you. They cannot unfeel the charge that pulses through the air. You exist now in their unquiet hearts as a monument they did not want but cannot deny. Hold that monument high. Carry it in your chest as an unspoken pledge to keep rising. Let it steel your spine whenever doubt licks at your thoughts. Let it be the fire that ignites every dawn. You won so hard that they could not handle the outcome. So handle it with grace, with the silent power, that only someone who has been through hell in return can possess. Handle it by moving forward. Handle it by building. Handle it by letting your presence become the blueprint for relentless transformation. Take this victory and let it bloom into everything that is next. Let it serve as a warning to complacency, a lighthouse for ambition, a quiet reckoning for smallness. Your triumph is not the end line. It is a launching point. It is the shot that echoes through deserts of mediocrity. It is the proof that someone can tilt the stakes so completely that the world must shift in response. So stand in that shift, let the ground settle beneath your feet, and then keep walking. Let your victory never settle into comfort. Let it remain sharp like a blade, ready to carve the next frontier. Let your faith in yourself never waver again. Because now you know what it means to bring yourself back from the edge and exceed every limit. You won so hard that they could not handle the outcome. Your victory is the gale that tore through their expectations. Your triumph is the unquiet wind at the door of every life that fears real power. You are that power. You are that force. You are that victory. Let them cry. Let them stare. Let them try to understand, but never catch you, because you are already gone, moving, rising, expanding, turning your win into the world beyond imagination. This is your legacy in motion, your name whispered by the unstoppable, your triumph, the whispered legend of grown from dust into unbreakable brilliance. Let that be your guide. Let that be your promise to every sunrise that waits beyond this moment. Let that be your greatest victory of all. The truth is they never expected you to keep going. They never thought you would endure the weight of all that was stacked against you. They imagined your knees would buckle under pressure. Your will would shatter beneath the noise of their doubts. But you did not shatter. You sharpened. You shaped yourself into something they did not recognize, into someone they could not predict. You became the variable in their equation that shattered their fragile comfort. You were not meant to fit their mold. You were meant to break it. They built a wall, and you turned it into a stepping stone. They wrote you off, and you rewrote the entire script without waiting for permission. Without asking for applause, you learned to clap for yourself. In silence, to rise for yourself. In darkness, to move forward with no crowd and no spotlight. And still you did it. And still you won. And now the lights have caught up to you. Now they want to understand what they failed to see, but it is too late, because the moment passed, and you already became more than they can name. The aftermath of your triumph is not peace, it is clarity. It is a silent internal war that you won, not just once but every day, when you decided to show up, when you refused to quit, when you heard their laughter and let it fuel the engine, not stall it, when you tasted failure and used it like medicine, not poison. This is the depth they cannot comprehend, because they never lived in that quiet agony, where belief was your only weapon, where momentum was your only friend, where doubt became the air and still you breathed it, and still you walked on. And now they ask how. But they do not deserve the answer, because the answer was earned, not explained. It was bled, not spoken, and they did not bleed for this. Like you did, they only watched from safety while you lived in the fire. Let them cry, because that pain is not yours. It is the grief of those who feared your becoming. It is the echo of their own regret. They cry not because you hurt them, but because you reminded them that they chose comfort while you chose risk. They cry because you are the evidence that greatness was always possible, if only they were willing to hurt for it, if only they were willing to sacrifice for it. You sacrificed everything for the chance to rise, and now you stand not just with a win, but with wisdom and with wounds that you wear like silent fire across your back. Every scar, a story. Every ache, a reminder that you did not float to this peak. You clawed your way here with every ounce of soul you owned. And now they whisper behind you. They question. They wonder. They speculate. They try to piece together how it happened. But the truth is simple. It happened because you refused to let go of what you saw in your own heart long before anyone else did. You were loyal to your vision when no one clapped, when no one cheered, when no one believed. And in that silence, you found your voice, and it grew. And it grew until it cracked the sky. And now that sky belongs to you. Now that silence obeys your name, and they cannot handle it, because it means they were wrong, and it means you were right, and it means that every excuse they ever used just turned to dust in the face of your persistence. You became what they feared most, not a monster, not a tyrant, but a mirror, a reflection of what they could have been if they had not quit, if they had not paused, if they had not chosen easy roads and hollow comfort. You became a reminder that mediocrity was a choice, and you refused it at every step. They cry because you exposed the lie. They built around their own limits. They cry because you made them see what true hunger looks like. And now that hunger haunts them, now that hunger echoes in their bones. But it is not yours to fix it. It is not yours to explain. You already paid your price. You already passed through the storm. And now the sun belongs to you, not to share, not to apologize for, but to wear with pride. Let that pride be silent and strong. Let it be still and sharp. Like the blade, you became forged by the furnace of every setback that did not end you. They saw the smile, but never the grit. They saw the win, but never the wounds. They saw the outcome, but never the war. And still, you do not need them to understand. You only need to remember who you are, because who you are now is someone that no one can deny. You are not the same. You are not what they expected. You are not what they imagined, and that is why they cannot handle it, because you rose too far, too fast, too true. And the air up here is not meant for those who doubt. It is meant for those who bleed. And you bled, and you became, and now you reign. This reign is not about domination. It is about remembrance. It is about never again questioning your worth, never again folding to their silence, never again shrinking to be accepted. You do not need their applause. You never did. You do not need their validation. You never did. You do not need their approval. You never did. And now that you know that you can walk forward into whatever storm comes next and laugh, because you've already been through worse. You've already survived what they said would end you. And not only did you survive, but you turned it into power. So let them cry. Let them whisper. Let them analyze your path, but never hand them the map. It is yours. It is written in pain and in promise, in solitude and in sacred defiance. This map led you here and now. It stretches forward into futures. They still cannot imagine because you are not done. You are only beginning. Your win was not the ending. It was the unlocking. It was the opening gate to a realm. Only the relentless can enter, and you are relentless. Every tear they shed, every word they mutter, every rumor they spin, only adds to your legend, because it proves that what you did was not ordinary. It proves that your footsteps leave marks too heavy to erase. It proves that your presence lingers like a storm, long after you've moved on. So move on with grace, with speed, with unbreakable certainty. You've already won. Now build from it. Now evolve again. Now become something even more unrecognizable, so that the next time they cry, it is not just from confusion, but from awe. And in that awe, let them finally understand that greatness is never given. It is carved from bone and forged in solitude. It is chosen. It is protected. It is fought for every hour of every day. And you chose it. And you fought for it. And you earned it. And that is why you won so hard that they could not handle the outcome. And now, in the quiet after the storm, look around. The battlefield is silent, but the echoes still scream your name. They don't cheer. They tremble. Because when you rose, you didn't just succeed. You rewrote the outcome. They're still crying about it, still trying to explain it. still building stories to protect their egos from the truth of what happened when you chose not to break. Because this wasn't just a win. This wasn't luck. This wasn't timing. This was years in the shadows. This was rejection, isolation, nights when you had to carry your own heart through fire just to make it to the next sunrise. This was steel forged in pressure no one else was willing to bear. Greatness is never given. It is carved from bone and forged in solitude. It is chosen. It is protected. It is fought for every hour of every day. And you chose it. You fought for it. You earned it. That's why you won so hard they couldn't handle the outcome. They thought you'd fold. They thought you'd run. They thought you'd give up, because that's what they always did when the pressure got real. But you didn't just endure. You evolved. You grew teeth. You became the very storm they feared. So now they talk. They point fingers. They whisper your name in fear behind curtains of denial. But let them cry. Let them rewrite the narrative. Because the truth, the real ones know. And deep down, even they know. You earned every inch of this. So if you're listening to this, and you've ever been doubted, if they ever laughed at your dreams, if you were ever made to feel too small, too weak, too broken, let this be your reminder. Their disbelief is not your truth. Their fear is not your limit. Their rejection is not your end. You are the outcome they couldn't predict, the fire they couldn't contain, the story they tried to silence but couldn't erase. So now, it's your turn. If this speech stirred something in you, if it reminded you of what you're really made of, don't let it end here. Subscribe, like, comment, share, not just for me, for you, for the piece of you that refuses to shrink again, for the fighter in you that was waiting to be reminded, you are not alone. You were born to build legacies in silence and let the world watch as the roar finally breaks through. Because in the end, they won't remember how polite you were, how safe you played, or how quietly you faded. They will remember the quake. They will remember the shift. They will remember you. You won so hard, they're still crying about it. And that is exactly how it was always meant to be.